Hello, everyone. My name is Mirna, and on behalf of the Mindalia TV team, welcome to Mindalia live streaming, where thousands of people around the world gather daily to see the lectures and interviews organized by Mindalia TV. Today with us, Angel Ribo, CEO consultant, TV host, international public speaker, and president of the Wisdom for Kids Foundation, is co-hosting once again with our dear Sunny Chayes. Sunny is not only the host of this show, but also the host of ABC Solutionary Sundays. She is the feature writer and chief strategist for Whole Life Times, the longest running conscious life magazine in America. Sunny is also a producer, moderator, and a myth buster. Before starting with them and with their wonderful guests that we're going to be having today, we want to remind you that Mindalia's mission is to share information that can help raise the level of consciousness around the world. And you can help us by subscribing to our channel, leaving us a positive comment down this video, or sharing it with someone that you know that is going to benefit of the content that we're going to be talking here today. Mindalia also wants you to collaborate with us with your own valuable content. And for that, you can go to our website. On the top, you're going to find a link that says Collaborate with Mindalia. That link is going to take you to a form that you can fill out, and our technical team will be getting in contact with you. Remember that you can collaborate with Mindalia in English through Mindalia TV English, as you already know, but you can also do it in Portuguese through Mindalia Televisao and Spanish through Mindalia Televisión. We have 3 different platforms. We're going to be super happy to see you there. Follow our different channels. Go to our Facebook accounts, Instagram accounts. Find out what we are developing there on a daily basis. We're not going to delay this any further, and I am going to be leaving you with our dear Sunny, Angel, and Anita Sanchez. Guys, welcome to Mindalia live streaming. The screen is yours.
Thank you very much, Mirna, for the introduction, and great to see you again, Sunny. How are you today?
Well, I'm doing great. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful, beautiful day. And I'm feeling still in the mood for, as this is still our month of dignity. So we are going to be weaving in the feeling, the knowing, the meaning of the word dignity and all that is as far as just everything that we do in our life. So I'm still playing with that as much as possible.
Oh, wonderful.
And you?
Wonderful. Well, we have all these opportunities every single day to make the world a better place, just being ourselves and tapping into our genius and tapping into our possibilities. And that's why, when when we were talking about having another show and bringing another extraordinary guest, when you suggested the name of our guest today, Anita, I was so thrilled. I was just joking with her before the show, and I was telling her, why don't we conduct some sort of telethon or marathon, and we have, the three of us for 24 hours talking about every single, aspect and edge of dignity and wisdom, because, the wisdom comes from being yourself genuinely for some time, and being open to what the universe brings to you and being able to learn from it. And I think that being open for dignity for an entire month and allowing our audience to also tune into that dignity is very powerful. Number one, and number two is a great preparation for the World Forum. So.
Yes, and I when I think of dignity, and when I was listening to you speak, and I was thinking sort of where that comes from, and I realized that it also comes from the people before us, the people who've come before us and what they've been through and what they've been able to, the path that they've been able to kind of, with a machete, taking a path that has never been before. And we're sort of still in the week of the Martin Luther King holiday of his birth. His birth was actually January 15th. And there's an organization actually called AGNT, Association of Global New Thought, that celebrates peace from starting January 20th through April 15th, which is, or actually January 15th through the 15th of April. And that is sort of bookended with Martin Luther King and Mahatma Gandhi. And it is a season of peace, they call it. And so I was thinking about how we people, whoever we are, whatever age we are, wherever we are in the world, do whatever our experiences in our life at this point is really built on those that came before us. And there's a story that my dear friend Drew Dellinger tells. I mean, it's not a story, it actually happened, but he is a historian and lays it out, which is, of course, the story of the lunch counter at Woolworths on February 1st, which was almost, let's see, it would be almost 60 years ago. It was 1960. So do the math on that. And where these 4 young college boys came and sat at the counter, and when asked to leave, didn't leave, Negro college boys. And each week it grew. It was 4, and then it was 17, approximately, a dozen, and then more and more. And it sort of worked on breaking down that possibility of, part of the civil rights, just part of many elements of the civil rights. So sort of taking that stand for their dignity at that time. We all benefited from them, their bravery, their creative bravery, their creative courage to take that creative step. And, they could have been killed for that, but they took that step, and we get the benefit of that at this point. So I feel like that's where dignity is for me, is to honor those that came before me in all ways. So that's what I have to say about that.
Excellent. So could you please do the honors to present
I would
our wonderful
love
guest?
to. So our guest who we're going to have on today is going to be a speaker at the World Dignity Forum, speaking of that, which will be February 8th through 10th here in LA. And her name is Anita Sanchez. We are so honored to have her. And I just want to say that she wrote a book called The 4 Sacred Gifts, which we're going to learn exactly what those are. Forgive the unforgivable, the gift of unity, the gift of healing, the gift of hope. And this is the wisdom, the indigenous wisdom for modern times. And I just want to also let people know that Anita is, of course, an author, a consultant, an executive coach, and she works with global leaders and teams, bringing hearts and minds together, offering indigenous wisdom and diversity, inclusion, promoting positive change in the world. And what I think is so great about how she's doing that is it feeds, it sort of is what I was talking about standing on those who came before us. So she's able to explain to the new people, the new peeps, whatever age they are that are global leaders, where they come from, what shoulders they are able to stand on. So I feel like by her doing that, it creates a real sustainable way for dignity to live in the world. So let us bring on Anita Sanchez.
Thank you so much. That was great applause. What a welcome. What a welcome on Martin Luther King week, right?
Yes.
Welcome.
So happy to be here.
Welcome to Mindalia TV. And let me start the conversation maybe talking about indigenous communities. I think that everybody here in this conversation, the ones that we are here present now, I think that we are very, very sensitive about what they represent, what they have represented, and actually what they also represent today in the world. I keep on being personally in contact with them. I'm sure that you do the same thing. And I'm sure that also Sunny is continuously, also drinking from that source, that blessed source. So, Anita, what would you say you have learned the most after being for so long in contact with different indigenous communities in the world?
Yes. Well, a great deal. One of the things I've learned is just how crazy our minds can get and just wrapped up in this busy and more information. I dare say no one keeps up with any of their emails, social media, all the things you're bombarded with. And it is from that drew me back. Like my grandmother is Aztecan, and so I've always been with elders, but drew me back to that because what I realized my heart was hungering for was wisdom, not more information. We got a lot, information's great, but we're drowning in it. What we need is the wisdom that comes in from deep within us, the wisdom that's in nature, the wisdom that has been there for millennia by the true wisdom keepers, people who hold the various traditions, connection to spirit, to the earth for time and time. So I feel it's life-giving. And so when we have this World Dignity Forum, where we're talking about, as you are, honoring dignity, then what my elders always taught me was you start at the beginning. And so how we start fits with what Sunny is remembering who came before. Because if we don't remember what came before, we think today came out of some void, and it didn't. You didn't come out of some void. I didn't come out of some void. None of us, right? So what a better place to start than with them. But they're also today. They're in the context of today, have solutions. And then one of the things I want to say, this is connecting past, present, and future, which is what I also love about true Indigenous wisdom and tradition keepers, is that we are even holding the future. Because in many of our tribes, our belief is that when we make a decision, when we start a path forward, we must think and feel from our heart, will this benefit 7 generations out? Just imagine what the world would be like if what we did, we thought about it not just about the I, but about all of us and even 7 generations out. What a world that would be. Definitely one, foundation with dignity.
Beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. I was what you were saying, that it came to me, a conversation I had a few months ago. I went to with Wisdom for Kids, with my foundation. I went to visit an indigenous community of Totonacas in Mexico, and it's in the mountains of Puebla, in the state of Puebla. It's an area partially dominated by the cartels, but that's what it is. It's a reality in this world today. But I was, as we were starting our workshop with the kids, teaching them entrepreneurship, for the first time ever in our missions to these underprivileged areas, as it was an indigenous community. Actually, four parents came to our session. They are obviously invited, but they never come because they're working, right? It's
Right.
underprivileged communities. And to your point, Sunny, one of them was carrying his machete.
Ooh.
So, and obviously we didn't take it personally, or we didn't take it that he was there to threaten us, although his face was very serious. We took it, number one, he's so in touch with nature that he needs this as a tool for his everyday work. When we would go outside that community, the richness of the nature was like outstanding. Imagine going to your garden, and then you have a mango tree, you have a peppercorn tree, you have a bush full of coffee, and then you name it. I mean, just with everything that was growing wild in that community, we could feed probably an entire city. And they're so much in touch with the oneness of who they are, that as soon as we started dancing and talking about that the kids were wise in the right sense, right? Everybody relaxed, and actually the parents left the session after 20 minutes because they saw that what we were doing was completely not neutral, but teaching their kids how to be themselves, not to be someone else, but to be themselves, and whatever they like and they wanted to be in their lives, it was okay. So that's what comes to me. So it's like when I see the bird, the bird that it's
The
hanging,
bear, yeah.
exactly,
Yes.
the bear. Excuse me, my pronunciation. It's the same. It's like we are all one. And oh my God, who would be the first one? Who would be the first one that would teach our kids in the schools in the first world countries? Wisdom is the important thing. Wisdom. Oh my God, what a powerful message. Imagine the consequences of doing that and everything around that. Imagine just everybody thinking about the wisdom and not about the knowledge. Wow.
Well, I think what would be
Yes.
really amazing, especially because when they're little, they may not connect with wisdom so much because they're so young, but honor, perhaps. The honoring of everything and understanding sort of where it came from. If you see whatever it is you see, knowing that that came from a little dinky seed that was able to be in the ground, and to know. I learned, by the way, that not all seeds grow. I think this is so fascinating. I was just thinking of seeds and how, everything comes from a seed, basically. I mean, we think of the human, but also the seeds, like, for example, an apple tree. there are so many seeds that drop into the soil and only a few grow. There are scientists who've actually found 2,000-year-old seeds in China and all of that. And I think, gosh, what does it take? What is that infinite intelligence, that God intelligence, that, whoops, it's going to be me intelligence that makes some seeds grow and some seeds not? I mean, how miraculous is that? But, you know, to teach things like that to kids and to say, you know, the honoring of that tree that came, it could have never been there if it didn't choose to activate its potential.
Yes.
And that is what we reflect in all of our teachings constantly, from like when you teach your people activating potential. And like, so I think that's so cool about the seed when I learned that.
When you're saying something about the seed, it makes me think about, you know, as I talk about Indigenous people, elder wisdom, a lot of people think, oh, well, those people are gone. Of course you don't, the two of you, and you were just in a village and stuff, an Indigenous village. However, what it comes from these wisdom keepers is the understanding that all over the world, Indigenous populations were basically targeted for genocide, you know, for whether for what the land or whatever else that they had. And what, you know, the saying is, you know, they tried to kill us, but they forgot we were seeds. And so we continue to grow, and because that innate wisdom, that innate knowing universe energy, God, Allah, Buddha, something that's greater than just this flesh that's so important, valuable, but that is greater, that you don't kill it, and it continues. And so that's what just makes me very excited to be with you and to hear how much you've integrated this wisdom into your own lives. That is part of my path, part of my journey. I know that I'm supposed to be a messenger along with many, so make my little contribution to what allows us to make the shift, to remember that we are not alone, that we have many, many relations who are serving us and we're serving them, and that we need, if we're conscious of that, oh my gosh, then all these kinds of things of depression, suicide, species, destroying them, the earth, the polluting, all that stuff will begin to change, because our mindset, our worldview will understand that we do out here is not separate from that which we're doing to ourselves. And we've forgotten that. And so that's the kind of wisdom that just makes me really excited as people light up. And I have to say, even little kids, as you gave the example, little kids get it. In some ways, I think they're so close to have been born and not polluted by some of the bombardment of messages of just acquire more stuff, that they really they can listen with the softest part of their ear immediately. And so they hear that wisdom. They may not have that word, as you said, but they understand it because they're still in alignment with it.
Well, I'd love for you, and I'm sure Angel would love this conversation, to go to the place of chatting about some of the elders, perhaps. I mean, I'd love to talk a little bit about the Bushmen, maybe a little bit about any of the other Indigenous people, to kind of educate our audience in truly what has come before. And I would start by saying, with the Bushmen, we had on guests, Connie and Andrew last week, and we talked about the Bushmen a little bit, but you and I were chatting about the idea that often in our Western world at this point, we feel sometimes a heavy burden about we have to invent something, we have to create something, we have to create the way to spiritual happiness, to enlightenment, to embodiment. We need to kind of figure it out, read books and all of that. And the truth is, we don't have to figure it out. It's already here. It's all woven among us. The Bushmen have had it for 60,000 years. They've been holding it down all this time for us. So for us to know, I just feel like I want to say to all the people out there, we can relax a little bit in knowing that it's already done. I mean, for real, it's really already done, in that many many peoples on this earth have been doing it, holding it down for us all these years. So all we need to do is tap into it, and then whatever ours is to do in the modern world to take it further, then so be it. But I think it's cool if we know it's already here. So
Yeah.
I'll let you go in for that.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Sunny. That is absolutely true. You know, whether our role is what we want to, if we do judgment about it, whether it's a small role, a big role, it's tapping into that, because that connection, that relationship between the earth, the spirit, people, connection to oneself, that is there. The wisdom and knowledge is all over the world. It's there. It's a matter of tapping into that. And the arms are wide open for it to occur. So when we talked about the Bushman, Lise Kruper, she's one of the 21 Indigenous elders who's going to be at the World Dignity Forum. She's a San Bushwoman elder. Incredible. She still uses the traditional ways of energy, and she uses trance as a way of healing. So I'm really excited. I'm hoping that you'll be able to bring her to your viewers while she is here in LA. But her wisdom is, I'll tell you, some of this, the wisdom is so clear that we are energy, and that things are being transmitted so clearly without even the spoken word. Now, we know sometimes that sounds woo-woo, but we know from science right now, even though we're not in the same location, we already, because of our connection, are impacting each other's heart rate variability. We also know emotions are so powerful that if we're exhibiting anxiety, that's the strongest emotion, and it changes your actual physiology. But the second most powerful emotion is calm, is contentment. And that's what I feel like, even in the midst of challenges, when we step into that wisdom, when we step into that knowing, that traditional knowledge, that's for all of us, that belongs to all of us. It doesn't belong just to the wisdom keepers. There is a way of us being able to move through the challenges and chaos, to lift people up, to not make it's me or you. Well, not you, I don't care about, but it's, know that we're all connected. And that's the exciting part. That's exciting with Lise Kruper, the Bushman elder, and the elders from the Maori, from New Zealand, who use their medicine. I mean, I just could go on and on. We have from north direction, we have Ghanaian man, we have all over the Americas people coming. So each is going to be bringing their solutions that have worked, along with solutions, other solutionaries, but these Indigenous elders will be sharing those throughout the whole World Dignity Forum, as well as ceremony.
Yes, and then that's what I'm excited about, because they're going to be, when I was speaking to Manu Marielle, who's the sort of brainchild of this and founder of the World Dignity Forum, I was saying that I felt it was really important on the last day if we could have all the elders come together and have us all come together and do something really meaningful, so that we take everything that we've learned and everything that's opened up in us, all of our mitochondria being more activated, and actually taking it to the streets, like, actually not just playing with each other and having a great weekend, but really taking it to the streets, like Dolores Huerta would tell us to do.
Yes, I love Dolores. I love Dolores. But you are absolutely right, Sunny. You're absolutely, because all of the prophecy, I shouldn't say all, many of the prophecies, the prophecies that I'm hearing from different traditions all over the world, there are some common threads. One of them is about the coming together. And the coming together, not to just do a closed circle, but a coming together for it to expand out. So your image of coming together, connecting, anchoring all that we have shared, the good medicine from all the different directions, and then going out into the streets, so to say, going out into nature, going out everywhere. And then all that medicine is going to be taken back out to the various locations. And there in the presence, which you'll be there, so you'll be able to see it, is going to be the eagle hoop. The eagle hoop prophecy is a prophecy where the book that I wrote, 27 elders from around the world heard the call and came, and they created a hoop with 100 eagle feathers. For the weekend, they prayed, they chanted in their different languages. And after ceremony, Spirit told them in that ceremony what gifts to put in the hoop, so that all human beings, all humankind could remember how to be in right relationship with themselves, other people, the earth, and Spirit itself. And they did that. So I feel like this also is another important point along the journey of humanity to gather together, everyone. No one is other. There's no separation. That's an illusion, but rather how we all can be and impact each other in a positive way. And so it's not only the two-leggeds, but that then with our consciousness shift, we can now pay more attention to the wisdom of the trees and of the water, of the earth, and all the beings.
And we, as I was listening to you, and exactly, we are creating actually probably our hearts and more incoherence than ever before, just because of the love and the energy that we are sharing in our conversation. So and there's something also that is a little bit like underestimated in our society, and that comes definitely from wisdom. And we started working on that a few weeks ago with Sunny as well, which is the power of intention. The power of intention.
Absolutely.
So I agree. I mean, that prophecy, I see that prophecy coming. I mean, the prophecy, and so we underestimate our own power of intent for something to happen. And my question was going to be, is there going to be on the World Dignity Forum, is there going to be some sort of intention or experiment or something that's going to happen in order to, try to accelerate, let me say accelerate or boost, the goals of the forum itself?
Absolutely. So what happens there is not the whole, right? It's a point in time where we're bringing all of these solutionaries with really high vibration, with very clear results that they're getting. And the idea is then to take those out and replicate them all over the world. But also knowing that not all of the solutionaries are there, they're all over the world, but to inspire and do that. And we're going to do that. We're going to elevate all of us even further through ceremony. So right from the get-go, there's going to be a drumming circle. We're going to have some local chiefs welcoming us before we even get into the dome. And then once there, we're going to have from different parts of the world, we'll have the Bhakti choir. Then the 21 indigenous elders will come on stage with the hoop, and we will share the Eagle Hoop prophecy. And each of them will share who they are, their tribe, and the wisdom that they're holding, and that they then will, throughout the 3 days, be sharing theirs. So there are different points of time where it's not just sitting back and listening. That's not. It's in relationship. This is how we're going to make this happen. So yes, it's just I'm so excited about how this is an important part, but what happens after is going to be equally important. I just recalled right now, the Dalai Lama a handful of years ago, a group of people, some of my friends were with him, and they were talking about the water issues up in India and Nepal and stuff. And they had this wonderful weekend of prayer and everything. And at the end of it, the Dalai Lama said to them all, now, if we just leave here and we just go and say, this was a wonderful weekend, we prayed, we were together, then that's just okay. What we have to do is leave and be in action. And so this is all about action and results. Amplifying, creating more and more, embracing more and more. So it's being done very humbly. So the 70 to 80 solutionaries there, it's not from I'm the solution. It's no, here's just an example. And so ignite yours. And this is going to be an annual event, so we can keep bringing in and all throughout during the year. There's other ways to amplify. So it's very, very important to know everyone is part of this.
And to add to that, absolutely, there's also going to be Michelle Pascal, who is doing, as we know, a friend of Mindalia TV, who's going to be doing a very interactive sort of chanting, incredible experience. And so this is the point of the World Dignity Forum, is it's not just a talking heads experience. It's very, very integral with drumming and dancing and chanting and, taking it into the body, embodying it. And I'm thinking of, again, I mentioned Dolores Huerta, who I know, Anita, you know, and just to let people know who she is, just briefly, she is my mentor activist sister or elder. And she was many, many years ago working with Cesar Chavez in the whole California challenge
Farm workers.
Pardon me?
With the farm workers.
The farm workers, exactly. And so I had the privilege of being in a room with her when I was speaking of the a season for nonviolence, which we're in from Martin Luther King to Gandhi. During that time, there was a big event with Gandhi's youngest grandson, Dr. Arun Gandhi, Yolanda King, Dr. King's daughter, and many, many others. And Dolores was there. And in that moment, she did say to all of us, you know, again, it's all great that we're having this time together, but what are we going to do? And from that meeting, that's actually what started me on my path from being a mom, single mom with 2 kids, clothes designer, singer, and all of that, stepping into being, you know, sort of a full-time activist at that point. So thank you, Dolores.
Yes, no, we absolutely needed that. Oh, I love her so much.
Yes, and you know, and she's still working it. She's not. I think she's 85 or something like that, and you know, she's still showing the way in activating and really giving voice to so many young women from every, you know, mainly women I think she works with, but you know, again, the elders that we have, Anita, right? Like, I mean, it's so great for us to have those who have come before us with the machete. She definitely broke a lot of ground. She definitely did. Absolutely. And we have her to thank for so much. And so again, the honor and dignity we speak of this day.
Yes, so good. And when you talk about that, it's making me think about so many, and I know I can't go through the whole program, but when you talk about you know, igniting ourselves, what many indigenous tribes and nations speak of is good medicine and bad medicine. And good medicine is anyone or anything that puts into alignment the spiritual, mental, psychological, emotional, and physical plane. And that's what we're going to be doing there, is aligning, so that way that it's very expansive. So on the second morning, we're going to have 3 elders from Hawaii. Puna Dawson, who's a direct descendant from the Pele. There's Sabra Koka, who's another amazing elder from Hawaii, and Mahanina, who are going to give us the aloha welcome. But when they do that, so all of this is igniting, again, from the spiritual right down through the physical plane. And that's the way we really walk on the earth. But we forget, and we think we just need to be feeding our minds. No, we need to feed the whole. And that when we don't do that, that's when suffering happens. Suffering within ourselves, but then suffering to each other. And so to restore dignity, we're being very intentional and very conscious that everything, even now, what leads up to and then after, is all about aligning the good medicine. And each of us get to be good medicine, because we get to choose every day. Do you want to be bad medicine or good medicine? And I mean, sometimes I mess up, but then you know it. You can feel it, because you know what it's like to be in that place, in that center of your own sacredness, where that's in alignment, and you can get right back. So we're going to be helping everyone, you know, to know how to sustain that further, using that gift of hope in action, the 4th gift that was put in the hope in action. That helps us remember how to stay in alignment.
There's still a lot of people out there that probably, they hear the stories, they hear our wisdom, but probably they have never been in touch with an indigenous community ever. Maybe they have never read any single book that, you know, brings all this wisdom to the rest of the world. What do you think? How could we suggest? What could we share with these people that they still haven't had the chance to be in touch with, even with their own origin? What could we share with them so that they feel more compelled to know more about this wisdom? What could we do? And also maybe even attending the forum.
Yes, well, my hope is that they would go to worlddignityforum.org, and that's where they can learn how they can come and attend. If they're unable to come, I know that they're going to be filming, and so there'll be pieces put together, so it'll go up on the website, and it'll be all accessible and free for people. But I think the place to start is for people, even though they may not know their own indigeneity, their own connection to the earth, or maybe even to a specific tribe, is to first just get quiet and allow the possibility for them to just remember their wholeness. Because it's not about rushing out because I lack this, I'm missing this, no, that You are whole, you are sacred, you are worthy of dignity. It's an innate worthiness. No one can take it away from you. However, because we've been bombarded with various things in the modern times, because we have got lost sometimes and get caught in the messages of just consuming and stuff, we forget. So reading, if you don't have an Indigenous community nearby, which most places do, so I encourage you to find out when they're opened up for the community. But also you can read books. You can read The Four Sacred Gifts. That opens with 27 Indigenous elders, and there are over 50 elders in the book sharing their wisdom along with the stories of using the four gifts. But there's so many in different parts of the world. So you can read of elders with from Latin America, from Asia, from different parts of the world. So I ask you to seek, because of the hunger for the wisdom, for the hunger of knowing more about your own sacredness, rather than, oh, I'm a messed up, or I'm not enough, because that's the illusion again. That's the lie, because the truth is our wholeness.
Thank you so much for saying that. Whenever I feel like maybe I want to chat, Angel, I would say this to you as a host. I sometimes want to speak, and then there's something that says, no, be quiet, Sonny. And you brought out, in this conversation alone, Anita, you brought out so many things the audience may not have heard if I jumped in. So thank you. And thank me for sometimes being quiet. One thing I want to add to that, it's part of my journey.
All of our journey.
More and more listening. Two things I'd like to add to that. I think one place to start, Angel, and answer your question, and I don't even know this person, so I'm not doing a plug, but I found this book, Tracking, it's actually called The Original Spirituality of the Kalahari Peace the Bushman Way of Tracking God, by Bradford Keeney. And I think the reason this is such an important book to read is that it's really the origin story of us all. So to know where we actually come from. And the second thing I would say is that reading I think is really great, because it just activates something, and it's a bit of a lost art we've had lately. I know the younger people don't read as much. I also want to tell you guys that for many years myself, I have a big family on both sides. I'm half Irish and I'm half Russian. And my Russian family was the bigger, more, it just took my attention, and the Russian Jew side. And so I was really all about that for a long time. And I really didn't pay attention to my Irish roots. And recently it became extremely important, which I didn't even know it was important until I was working with Dr. Sue Morter, and she was doing a trip to Ireland. So I ended up going, and so many things shifted in my life I cannot even describe, when I was able to tap in and be in Ireland and be in with the trees and in the caves and to the top of the mountains and witness the people. And I was like, oh, these people are so beautiful. And then I would just cry every day, because I realized, no, these are my people. My grandparents were here walking these streets and breathing this air and enjoying these trees. And so I think there is something to be said for however painful it might be, or however it is, to reach into our ancestry, or just back a few steps to our parents and grandparents. So I just offer that, because it changed my life, and it's continuing to do so.
I'd like to add to that, because you're absolutely right. Following who we came from, because the earth, what we call the great mystery, makes no mistakes. We all came from different places. Yes, we all have similarities. So we have to know we're all part of the hoop of life. But the differences that we bring too are also part of the hoop of life. And so it's really critical for us to get to know that, what those aspects are. So in doing that, in going back and talking to relatives if you have them, but for many people I know here in this country, in America, North America, but specifically the US and Canada, a lot of people will say, but I left hundreds of years ago. Truly, part of the work that I do with people in reconnecting is for them to go back, even if it's in just their imagination, to their country of origin and apologize. Apologize for leaving that which gave you life. Now, it may have been hundreds of years before, so it wasn't even in your doing, but apologize, honor that which is part of you, and then where you now stand, where you sit, where you eat, where you drink, honor this. That connection is so crying forward. And a lot of times the path to get there is exactly what you were saying, Sunny. It's through our own relations, our own biological, tracking our relatives. And so that's so critical. And there's such peace and wholeness that comes from you connecting your Russian and your Irish, rather than one sort of being in the front and one sort of lost, but that you're a whole human being with all this. It's like with me, my Mexican American part of me, my grandparents, my abuelitos that came from Mexico, but also then the indigenous part that my grandmother brought and spoke so heavily and taught us the ceremonies of the Aztecan way, that is important. That makes us, like, sometimes I tell my kids, I'm a 200% person. Well, you have your father and me. You're like 500% people, but we're all important to embrace it all. So thank you. I would not want anyone to miss that. Find out what you can. And it's so easy to do. Even if you just do one of those things, 23andMe, we begin to at least explore what is the different genetics. And, it's not fine-tuned, but you'll get some sense of the wholeness of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
It hit home so much, you can't imagine, Anita, what you just said. Because I was born in Spain, and very early on, I learned French and English, and I left Spain as soon as I could. But I never thought, actually today, it's the first time ever you make me think about what I left behind and what happened to my family because of the fact that they left. Although I've studied my genealogy tree and everything, there's still a lot of things that we're not fully aware. And we just see in front of us, we think about our future, we try to maybe hide our past, right? And just focus on the future, not even in the present, as you were saying before. My kids in the school, they are surrounded by other kids that were born in probably like 10, 15 different countries in the world. And we probably, all of us here, we talk to people that have been born in many other different countries.
Absolutely.
But have we been able to still remain connected and being able to value that connection and what it represents today into our life? So thank you very much for bringing that up.
Good. Well, I would like you to consider apologizing for leaving, just as I apologize every time I'm from Mexico that my relatives left there. And when I go there, there's a part of me that just, is crying, tears of joy and tears, all of it. And I know that's because it's the unseen that is a part of me. And I'm so grateful for that ancient blood that's in me. And that's true for all of us, wherever we're from, part of the world.
And I have to say, I was crying every single day in Ireland. I was there for 14 days, and every single day, crying for happy, crying for sad, as they say. And, but I was just open. I went through some ceremony before I went, actually. So I was very emptied out and ready to just, go for it. And as I'm listening to both of you speak, I'm thinking of all the emotions and all of the sort of ceremonies we can go through with that, which is really the list of the things that you were speaking of, Anita. The forgive the unforgivable, or the gift of forgiving the unforgivable, the gift of unity, the gift of healing, the gift of hope. And so I think of those four elements, if we weave those in with acknowledging our past and our past, and allowing and the honoring of the gifts of the beauty and the sacredness and the joy. I think of the leprechaun energy, I don't even know what to call it, in Ireland, that is so filled with joy, even though there's so much pain also. Like, how does that even work? What a message and gift to me to have and to play with myself. So I feel like if we do that, like when you were saying that, Angel, it kind of made me cry it makes me cry even still thinking about you leaving Spain and how you feel, like really getting me. But it's like all of that, feeling just all of it. And like Marianne Williamson has a book called Healing the Soul of America. And she talks about the Native Americans, the slavery, the Vietnam vets, the everything, and how Germans really did a very, very big mea culpa with the Holocaust, they went pretty deep, and the young people especially. And we don't really do that at all in America. Like you were saying, Angel, we sort of just don't look back. We don't want to look back. It's painful. With the Native Americans, of course, it's just so painful. So again, I just invite us all to mix all those gifts in.
Thank you. I think that is really, you got it. That is the gift of all these elders who responded to spirit, was to use those 4 gifts so that we can remember how to create harmony and balance again within ourselves and the people and earth and spirit. So that is just so critical that we do that. But I want to add into this piece that I think is so important. It is about holding the whole. So it's not about running away and pretending as if the suffering or the past didn't happen. The trauma, we're still dealing with trauma. However, I also want to say that this elder wisdom is showing us, and why it's so important, is not to get stuck in the trauma. You remember it, because to forgive the unforgivable doesn't mean you forget. You remember, and you try to create new systems and structures so others don't have to suffer, but you're not imprisoned by it. It's not weighing you down. And what we're really talking about when you use these 4 gifts as I had for 20 some years, and as many people around the world have been using, is that what happens is what we call post-traumatic growth in the psychological and the science arena. And post-traumatic growth isn't talking about the trauma event. It's talking about that event becomes a catalyst for growth, for creativity, and that we don't have to, that is not who we're meant to be as human beings. As whole human beings, we're meant to be able to move through the suffering, reduce the suffering, and be creative and joyful. So that's what I'm so excited that the solutions you all present in Mindalia, the solutions that are going to happen at World Dignity Forum, this is all about, growth, post-traumatic growth. Not, let's get the solutions out so that we can all bring all our gifts to bear for what life is calling for right now, which is for us to thrive.
Wow. We have to wrap it up, unfortunately. It's always short when we're talking with Sunny and with Anita. Oh my God. So please remind us, Anita, where can we find you personally, and where can we go to know more about the forum?
Yes. To learn more about me and my book, you can go to forsacredgifts.com. That's FOUR, sacredgifts.com. And there's a free song you can download when you do that. And for the World Dignity Forum, please go to worlddignityforum.org. And there you can see the whole agenda and everything that you can get involved with. And we just I love your viewers, love the both of you and everything you're doing. And thank you for all the solutions that we are all creating, that life, we get to live in a time where life itself is calling for us so clearly.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Sunny,
well,
where can we find you? Tell me. Jump in.
I will tell you, and I want to remind everybody, just as an honoring and a dignity to Anita, to again remember that we have the gift of forgiving the unforgivable, the gift of unity, the gift of healing, the gift of hope. So I just want to end my little moment with that to honor Anita. And you can find me on ABC Solutionary Sundays on Sunday. You can find me at Sunny at let'simagine.live, and you can find me in Whole Lifetimes magazine, where I have a lot of stuff. So you can go to wholelifetimes.com and find me there.
Awesome.
And here next week.
Absolutely. We'll be here next week. Thank you very much to both of you. It's been a blessing as usual. And again, this is Angel Riba with Mindalia TV. Thank you everybody for being with us today. It's been a blessing to be with you. Thank you. I'm sure you have enjoyed the conversation as much as we have. We hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.